Are you ready for an overcooked hamburger, a warm soda, and cold fries? If so, stay right here. Welcome back, you estranged beasts, to yet another hideous installment in the Fudge Reviews series, and today we will be having a look at the T14 Experimental Heavy Tank, or as some people refer to it as the Baby Jumbo, because that is basically what this stupid motherfucker of a tank is. This tank's history stems back to 1941 when the head of the U.S. Ordnance Department went to the land of the stuck-up tea-loving fucks to learn of their so-called experience, and during that meeting a discussion sparked up about the potential of an assault tank more well-rounded than a Churchill at the time in 1941. The project never took off because the US's lazy asses not sending a pilot model to the UK till 1944, and by that time the Churchills were proving to be a worthy adversary for any unlucky sap in their first models, and thus the project was dropped. And in true American fashion, it was deemed too fat for service as it weighed 42.6 tons. However, in War Thunder this fat fuck shows its colors as a very effective heavy tank, as if you angle your fat American British ass your armor becomes impregnable to many guns at your battle rating and even some above. As for actual armor values, frontally it's pretty shit as it's 50.8mm, and at its slope it has about 85 to 90mm of thickness, so the German KWK-40 on the Panzer IVs will tear right through that at 500 meters. However, if you have any fucking clue as to what you're doing, you will realize that the sides are the exact same thickness at 50.8mm, and with the lower hull sides being 63.5mm. You will notice that this tank thrives off of the magical act of angling your armor, because then your opponents will have a harder time trying to penetrate your armor, while you simply laugh and use your 75mm M3 cannon to shoot them with a McDonald's Big Mac APHE. Now onto the turret. The turret is one thick bitch, as it has 101mm of hardened fat all around except the front, which has 76.2mm for some reason. I guess turret face armor wasn't very important back then, I don't know. However, the gun mantle, it has two overlapping plates of 88mm and 50.8mm of cast armor, giving about 138mm of effective thickness, and at the angles that can be presented go up to a whole fuckton of armor. The roof is rather sturdy at 25.4mm and can resist some punishment from large caliber machine guns. I feel like it's important to say, the T14's hull bow MG port is a fat weak spot, as no matter what side you angle on, there's going to be a flat side where enemies can sneak shells into and kill you. Now let's move on to the next segment. Oh, you want to know about mobility? But seriously, this thing's mobility can be described as mediocre to decent. This fucknut is equipped with a 500 HP Ford Gas V8 engine, which can make this thing go 38 km an hour off and on road, and its acceleration is decent. Turning in the T14 is somewhat sluggish but not unbearable, as it doesn't lose all that much speed during most turns. Unfortunately, you lack neutral steer, which is a hindrance. Also, reverse speeds are almost non-existent at -4 km an hour, so be careful when advancing, as if you're caught by yourself with a shit ton of enemies nearby, you'd better do as Grievous once said and prepare for attack! As for firepower, you are blessed with a glorious M3 anti-literally everything cannon to go hunting with, and you subsequently have 5 shell types. The standard M72 stale potato shell that is useless, the M48 warm soda explosive shell, the M61 Big Mac shell, the T45 frozen potato fry shell, and the M89 boiling grease shell. Of which you should take 30 M61 Big Macs, 5 T45 potato fries, and 5 M89 grease shells. This way you will have a balanced diet of Big Macs, grease shells, and potato fries to pelt your opponents with. You also have the totally balanced Browning M2 ketchup dispenser and the 7.62mm M1994 mustard dispenser at your disposal to shoot everything and anything with. The T14 sits at the battle rating of 4.3 in rank 2, so right off the bat it's a shitty grinder for research points, but is a great silver thing grinder, as you can mop the floor with the faces of your enemies with it rather easily in a down tier. However, at 5.3 this thing becomes less of a frontline tank and more of a support tank slash flanker. Yes, you heard that right. You can flank in this fat fuck, as your M61 shell does an absurd amount of damage if a successful penetration is scored, as the M61 has 63 grams of TNT equivalent and 63 millimeters of explosive mass and can one-shot stupid fucking Russian vehicles like the KV-1 and T-34s with ease from the sides. The thing is pretty much dirt cheap at 1600 GE like the German KV-1C, so I do recommend it, as it is one of the best warthunder purchases I have made in a while, with your armor being as sturdy as it is when angled. Whether it's a down tier, you simply press E 3 times, and when you spot an enemy you angle and drive back and forth to throw off their aim, and if you manage to fool them, now is your time to fuck them up. Be sure to angle your turret too, as its face is rather thin. And in up tiers you choose a flank and go hunting. Some fucks to be careful for in battle are the Russian 85mm, the 152mm and the long 75s, and any variant of the 88. Since it's a premium, all modifications are unlocked for you thanks to the snail god. Crew skills can be dumped into tank driving, vitality, targeting, repair, reload and leadership for maximum combat effectiveness. Lineups can consist of whatever the fuck you want. With that said, go fuck some shit up, you gormless minger.